Ladies, gentlemen, and my often forgotten, but not by me, Shikikons, welcome to the channel. Today we'll be talking about the AA12, also known as the Jak-12 inside of Modern Warfare 2019. So, this gun is sort of interesting because it's the first shotgun I've covered, and shotguns are pretty much only useful within 15 meters, assuming you're not using slugs. So this is going to be a shorter video. There's not as much to talk about when it comes to the customizability, the engagement ranges, the recoil pattern, because you're going to be using this gun mostly hip firing, depending whether or not you use the tac laser or the 5 milliwatt laser. So it's going to be a much more simple video. Also, unfortunately, true game data does not showcase the stats for shotguns, meaning I will not have the little graphics on screen telling you how much tighter your spread is, how much range, or how much more velocity you get, simply because I guess shotguns have so much variance to them that trying to give a quantifiable number to their attachments isn't very, well, it's not very helpful in the long run, because there's a chance you're just going to miss a pellet and all of a sudden, hey, I thought you said it kills in 5 shots at 15 meters. Well, you missed 3 pellets, now it's a 6 shot. Stuff like that sort of makes it hard to pinpoint exactly how the shotgun is going to behave given the correct situations, simply because there is a degree of randomness to shooting a shotgun. So, moving on, the AA12, the Jak-12, starts off with an 8-round magazine, and it's a fully auto shotgun. It should have the shortest range in the game for the shotguns, I believe, but it does have the fastest fire rate, and it does happen to be full auto. So let's talk about the first attachment here. So it's going to be a muzzle attachment. It's the choke. Now, the only thing the choke does is that it makes your pellet spread tighter. For those of you who don't understand, when you shoot a shotgun, there's like 8 or so pellets. They travel within a radius of a circle, and where these pellets are going to land in this circle is randomized. So what the choke will do is make it so that the circle is smaller, and therefore the amount of random locations that these pellets can travel to is also decreased, causing the gun to become more accurate at range. Although theoretically it might be worse up close because you won't be able to spray wildly and hit somebody. The downside to this attachment is that it makes your aim down sight speed go up, but the majority of people who are going to use a shotgun, due to the fact that shotguns don't have much range at all, will be using it while hip firing with a 5 milliwatt laser. So it's a downside, but unless you're using the tac laser or, just trying to use aiming down sight for shotgun in general, it's not going to be all that bad. The second attachment is the exact same. It's the ZLR J2800 influx barrel. It's a barrel that tightens up your spread, again, just like the choke, but there are 2 barrels that have the same effect. I don't know the name of the second one because it's a huge name, but it has an even stronger effect than the influx, than the current barrel I'm talking about. The difference is AA12 in Girls Frontline has this long silver part coming out the end of her gun, and well, that's exactly what this barrel looks like, so we're just going to be rolling with that. It has the exact same benefits and the same downsides as the choke does, so essentially imagine it as adding a choke onto your choke. Therefore the AA12 is going to have a significantly longer range than a normal AA12 would have, assuming you're not running those 2 attachments. So earlier I was talking about the 5 milliwatt laser. The 5 milliwatt laser, the lasers in general have some different effects than the ones you would run on the rifle and SMGs. For example, on an SMG and assault rifle, the 1 milliwatt laser makes your hip fire decrease, meaning it's more compact, it's more accurate. It's not that way on shotguns. The 1 milliwatt laser on shotguns actually decreases sprint out time. So it is good for rushing, but it's good for rushing in a different way. You're not any more accurate when using a 1 milliwatt laser, you just get out of sprint faster. And this is where the 5 milliwatt laser comes in. The 5 milliwatt laser is the same as the assault rifle and SMG 5 milliwatt laser. This one increases your hip fire accuracy, meaning there's even less spread when hip firing, and it decreases your sprint out time by even more than the 1 milliwatt laser. So think of it as running a stipple grip tape times 2, and increasing your hip fire accuracy while you're at it. The only downside to the 5 milliwatt laser is that the 5 milliwatt laser is super bright, meaning it's always active unless you're aiming down sights. So if you're aiming around a corner, the enemy is going to see that bright green laser and they're going to know somebody's right there. The drum mag is pretty integral to the AA12 of Ghost Frontline, and the majority of AA12s you see in online media do use a drum magazine. There's a 32 round drum magazine, but from what I could tell on her artwork, she does not run those because they're kind of outrageously huge. So the 20 round drum mag is a fairly simple attachment. You go from 8 rounds to 20 rounds. You don't lose range, you don't gain range. I'm sure you lose some movement speed, but because True Game Data doesn't document shotgun attachments, I actually do not know how much it decreases your movement speed or how much it decreases your aim down sight speed. Only know that it does, but most likely it decreases your aim down sight speed by less than 17 milliseconds, and your movement speed is probably only down 1% to 1.5%. The final attachment we're running here is the stippled grip tape. So you know how I mentioned sprint out time is decreased by the 5mW laser? Well, sprint out time is decreased even further by the stippled grip tape. So the way I've set up the AA12 and the way I assume it's set up in Ghost Frontline, mostly because we never see the other side of her gun, meaning I can't confirm if there's a laser or not. And because I want to make my videos more exciting, I threw the laser on there anyway. And also the stippled grip tape is literally her hand's always on the gun grip, so I always run a grip tape anyway because it's not like you can see it in game, and it does help you out. So if you are going to use the gun, I like to make the gun more viable for players. So what the stippled grip tape is going to do is it's going to decrease your tactical sprint out time, and it's going to decrease your normal sprint out time. So both of these are benefits, but they're probably having reduced benefits simply because the 5mW laser is already active, and the 5mW laser gives an even greater buff to the sprint out time than the stippled grip tape. So it's more like the icing on top, or the cherry on top, depending on where you live. The metaphor changes. And the other bonus of the stippled grip tape is about 17 milliseconds faster aim down sight speed, but because this AA12 is kind of heavy and is designed to be hip fired, that benefit is more or less iffy. Right, so conclusion, what do I think of this gun? The AA12 is mid-tier for shotguns. It's not as bad as the VLK Rogue, but it is not exactly what I would say the best shotgun in the game. The reason for this is the AA12, unless you're running headshot slugs or headshot fragmentation rounds, does not really have the ability to one-shot a person in close range. You have to fire twice. So theoretically, 2 people run at each other with shotguns. One is running the Remington M870. Wait, Remington, I think, is it Remington? Oh, well, the M870. And the other person is running an AA12. So they run into each other point blank and pull the trigger at the exact same time. All of their pellets hit each other. The difference is one of them dies and one of them doesn't. So that's the power of the pump action shotguns, their ability to one-shot. But the benefit of the AA12 comes in when they're not one-shot. Assume that they do not die in the first shot with a pump action. Now you have to imagine they have to rack the action and then shoot you again. Meanwhile with the AA12 you can just go dook dook and they're dead. You can make a follow-up shot much faster assuming they didn't die initially. So it has less potential than a one-shot weapon, but it's much more forgiving than a one-shot weapon. It's the same logic with the SKS and M14 and the SPR and Car 98K. So would I recommend this gun? For 6v6 multiplayer? No. For Warzone close quarters? Yes, actually. The pump action guns aren't nearly as good in Warzone close quarters unless you're talking about the GP12, but that's because you can fire 2 rounds in a row before you have to pump. So overall, do I encourage you to use this kit? Yeah, it's actually pretty standard. Everything AA12 runs on her gun runs perfectly fine in Modern Warfare. I don't really see an issue with it. So go ahead, use this kit. Don't even bother changing anything if you don't want to, because it's actually perfectly fine on its own. That'll be it for this video. In the next video, we'll probably be on Blackbeard's Scar H from Rainbow Six Siege. Hopefully I can have guest commentary from my friend on it. He likes Rainbow Six Siege a lot. I used to play with him all the time. His favorite character is Blackbeard, and he used to love the Scar H. So getting onto this video series to talk about one of his favorite guns sounds like a good time for both me and him. So until then, have a good day, have fun, and I'll see you next time I upload a video.
在歌舞升平的城市，忍不住回头看我的城市，在我手的正摇都是